Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Primecast Live, the post-Gen Con edition.
The we have not slept nearly enough edition.
Correct.
We are still running on Gen Con fumes at the moment.
So many fumes from Gen Con. Whew. I'm Will Schick.
And I'm Will Hungerford.
And we are your hosts for today's Gen Con edition of Primecast, the only official place for all things Privateer Press. What do we have to talk about today?
We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, this, like you set it up. This is going to be the Gen Con episode.
Yep.
So we just got back from Gen Con, and we're going to be talking to Dallas. We're going to be talking to JR. We're going to be talking to Matt Getz, all kind of about their experiences at Gen Con and how the show was, because we had a lot of major stuff go down there.
Oh man, it was a wild time. We made some cool guerrilla style announcements on Wednesday when the booth was still being set up.
We kind of shocked everybody with the whole L5R thing.
Well, I mean, how would they know? Legend of the Five Rings, like miniatures coming in mini crate. Literally, John was using his phone while other people were running around putting products on the shelves so that Matt could show off the model with Dallas and announce it to the world. And it was in the in-flight report with Fantasy Flight. Who are our great partners in that. It was crazy. It was crazy. I didn't even know they were going to do that. I walked by and I'm like, what are you three doing with a camera in that model? Like, oh, we're going to announce this, dog. I was like, sweet.
So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, we've got the mini crate line that you probably are familiar with, where we have a monthly subscription service. You get really cool miniatures every month. Right now, the current one is Eris Angel of Vengeance.
And you have until the 19th to lock her down, so you get an Iris with wings.
Yep. So you go to mini-crate.com and you can sign up and get these miniatures. Well, we just announced a new mini crate line, which will be L5R Legend of the Five Rings miniatures, which are going to be awesome. They announced an RPG about, what, a month ago, was it?
I mean, they released the RPG a little bit ago.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant released. And getting cool looking ninja and samurai miniatures is going to be great. And you'll be able to get them directly through us.
And we've also taken some steps with Fantasy Flight to make sure that if you play the card game, the LCG for Legend of the Five Rings, those models will work as great tokens for the game, so you can use them to represent different things like the roll cards or other options throughout the game as you choose. So we really wanted to make these things not only great for the shelf, but also very versatile in terms of where you could use them in your games themselves. It's an exciting opportunity. It's really cool. I think my favorite bit about it is the fact that our first guy, Yokuni Togashi, the Dragon Clan champion, Matt Wilson, the creator of War Machine, and our company head honcho, our El Jefe, if you will.
I will.
He actually he drew that guy originally.
Right.
He concepted Yokuni. So now we're making a miniature of him.
It comes full circle now.
So just super excited to get the opportunity to do that. It's really awesome. You can sign up right now, like you said, at minicrate.com/L5R.
Yep.
To get on the email list, and that will basically notify you when those models go on sale, so that you can sign up for your subscription, get a lot of sweet stuff. I've been seeing renders of the next model, the VIP model, and it's awesome. It's very cool.
Wrecker's Iron, by the way, on Twitch says it comes full ring.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you're watching us right now, later on, we stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/privateerpress. This might be on YouTube, or it will be on YouTube later. If you're watching it there at youtube.com/privateerpressprime. Point being, we are live. So if you see us kind of look off to the side and say someone's name and read something, we like to interact with the chat as much as we can.
But L5R wasn't the only thing that we had going on at Gen Con. We also pre-released Monsterpocalypse.
I know, and it was enormous.
The Monsterpocalypse has landed.
On the dev chat yesterday, we spent a lot of time basically talking about events, and we talked about how it had released on Thursday, and by Saturday, the first Monsterpocalypse events, there were 20 people.
20 people.
Fully assembled. One guy completely fully painted, all 15 units and his monster, and then a couple other monsters painted.
I saw at least 4 or 5 Defender X's that had been painted.
Yeah, the one guy had everything painted.
That's impressive.
It was impressive. So you were at the booth.
I was.
While I was running the events.
I was part of our Cracker Jack demo team.
How was it?
So I mean, it was awesome. It's always fun to sit down and get to talk to people about. We did War Machine Hordes. We did Monsterpocalypse. And it's fun. It's fun to get that opportunity to see people walk by the booth, catch their eye with cool models on the table, and then draw them in and be like, okay, and they're like, what is this thing? And you start talking to them about it, and they're like, I've never heard of a hobby miniatures game before. I've never played one before. What is it? Gen Con is neat because it's such a large pie of all things gaming, right? You have people who maybe heard of Gen Con, and their biggest game experience is walking through, you know, the game aisle at a mass market store.
Sure.
Right? And so they're like, well, I
that's a jump. If you've ever gone to like the local like department store and
but
seen
the thing is that I think, you know, when you look at Gen Con overall, one of the really cool things is just the expansion of the whole like gaming culture, right? Of tabletop in general. And so you get a lot of really fun interactions, you get a lot of families, you get a lot of people who are like, oh, you know, I've never experienced this before, like tell me about it. And you start running through it and you see that little, like, we always talk about the spark, right? And one of the most fun things when you're demoing or explaining the game to somebody is
seeing that light in
when
their
you see them suddenly like that flash where they just get it, and then you're like, I got you, you're in now, like you're ready to go. And so it's fun. It's fun to get to share that and to interact with people and to be at kind of the ground level when people are discovering things. And then of course, Monsterpocalypse has a great, you know, previous community. We saw a lot of those guys there.
At events, like most of the tournament was older Monsterpocalypse players.
And so getting to like kind of enjoy and share in their excitement that something that they had loved had come back in this new and more powerful form. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do that. And of course, you know, Gen Con itself is just an experience. If you've never been and you enjoy tabletop,
there's nothing else like it.
You should probably make it out. Like, you know, there are two things on the hit list, right? There's Lock and Load. If you're watching the stream, like you got to come to Lock and Load at least once because there's nothing else like it. And then if you love tabletop in general, like Gen Con is the thing that I would highly recommend doing at least once. Plan ahead and know what you're doing, but it's crazy. It's a wild time.
Yeah. So if you didn't come to Gen Con, come see us next year. Come by the booth. If you did come, talk to us in chat. If we saw any of you there, say hi real fast. Let's also talk about what's coming up this month because we're going to be talking about Gen Con all episode long. So I think we should probably mention like some of the things that are coming to local stores for those of you that can't make it to Gen Con or other conventions, but you go to your local store. It's Exemplar Month.
It is kind of it's Exemplar Month and also a little Golden Crucible action. You know, like they're sharing. That we've forced them together, and much like squabbling siblings, they will sit in the back of the car on this joyride.
Yeah, they want to, like, Protector's like, I want to set everything on fire. And Crucible Guard's like, nah, bro, we're not into that.
Yeah.
Like,
we'd rather melt things.
We'd rather melt things.
To be fair, they both set things on fire, though, so they'd probably get along in that way.
Yeah, they're both immune to it. So they're just, like, hanging out, just burning things.
Just loving it. So yeah, we got the Exemplar theme box coming out this month. That's the big one.
The best way to get into the faction, right?
If you want to jump in to Protector of Menoth and you want to jump in with Exemplars because you think Knights are cool, and they are, the Exemplar theme box is definitely the way to go. You're going to get your Knights Exemplar unit. You're going to get the Exemplar command attachment. You're going to get 5 Cinerators, a full unit of them. You're going to get the command attachment for them. And then last but not least, you're going to get that badass Exemplar Warder, which is the new caster attachment, who basically says, "Don't hurt my boss."
And if you're looking at those, and you're like, if you see these army boxes, you're like, "Where's the battle group? Where's the casters on the jacks?" These army boxes are meant to pair with the existing battle group boxes. But obviously, if you've already got some models for Protectorate, or you have a new caster you might want to pick up, like High Exemplar Serenia, you can just build your own battle group and sort of plug it into the theme box.
She is the poster child for our new Exemplar theme.
She is, and she comes out this month separately as her own blister.
She does, yeah. And I know that people had a lot of fun with her in CID. She went through a number of different changes and tweaks. Really fun model, like so full of character. Just would make a great RPG figure, honestly.
I read her full fluff. Like, I knew her concept, and like in terms of doing the rules, we had the conceptual information. But I read the full like fluff of her for the first time. I didn't realize she died. I didn't realize that she had died and has been resurrected.
Yeah, well, you know, it does happen in the setting. The Iron Kingdom's
not a lot.
Not a lot, but resurrection is possible, even back to the classic Witchfire days.
Sure.
It costs a whole lot for the person who does the resurrecting, and usually it costs something from the person who's resurrecting. You know, unless you're the Harbinger, you might get a little lucky, but she's got a divine mission. You know, you got Balder who came back from the dead, but he's just got a burning internal clock.
His life is not good. He's
just going to consume himself at some point. So when it does happen, you know, it's usually bad, or you're working for Crix. And let's be honest, that has its own set of, you know, sadness. Yeah,
but yeah, she got killed and the Testament ended up bringing her back. And so she's like she's infamous in the Protector as having been revived and brought back by the Testament. And she wasn't a Warcaster before she died.
Right.
Then she died and came back as a Warcaster, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Upgrade.
Upgrade. I'll just die again and come back even stronger. Also, you mentioned the Incinerator Officer command attachment, who's in the box, but he's also coming out as a separate blister.
Yep. So, you know, if you want to run 2 units or you already have the unit and you don't need the box, he's right there for you. He makes those guys
If you want shield wall,
crazy.
If you want shield wall on your Incinerators to make them do the full, you know, defensive walk-up vengeance, just murder the world.
You know, I hear
he's
Defender's
amazing.
Ward plus shield wall is like a thing.
It's
It might be pretty good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so gross. Also, you're talking about Crucible Guard.
Yeah.
We
got Prospero.
The Stormtroopers,
Oh, and the
which
Stormtroopers,
the Stormtroopers are the ranged elite medium-based infantry, so the ones that have the steam-pressured arcing fire guns, and then Prospero.
Yep.
So you get your journeyman.
Your poor journeyman.
Yeah.
The sad story of Prospero. I mean, life was not. He got brought back, kind of too. And,
Kind of. Well, he
again,
didn't die. He just got turned into like a brain in a jar, right?
I mean, I think you're dead at that point. Even if your brain's alive, it's questionable.
If you can still think, you're still fine. So that's all the new releases going to your local store this month. So keep an eye out for them. Go talk to your local store. You know, get some pre-orders in if you're interested in any of those. But let's get back to Gen Con, shall we? In fact,
Con.
let's bring in somebody I think who unfortunately missed Gen Con.
He did,
and it wasn't the same without him.
For much the same reason as Mr. Pagani, we have a slew of new babies coming.
This
is the year of birth at Privateer Press.
What is the collective noun for babies?
I'm pretty sure it's babies. Like that's
Not the. I'm sorry,
like
the,
a group.
Yeah,
like
the group.
a murder of crows.
Like a murder of crows. What is the? It's a what of babies?
Is
it a coup?
I would say a moistness of babies.
God.
What's up, Mr. Getz?
How you doing, Will?
I'm doing great.
I'm a little jealous because you guys have.
I know, we
knobs
get-
and
we
I've got
get
this
the-
microphone here.
yeah, the
I don't
lavaliers.
know where I should be with it for it
You
to be
can,
loud
you can go
enough.
wherever you want.
I'm gonna eat the mic.
I mean, you could do that and just make John's life miserable. It's better if you just rock back and forth the whole time you talk.
Yeah.
So then it just goes, right? Just make it terrible.
So one thing that I wanted to bring up, because you guys were just talking about Prospero.
Yeah.
He didn't immediately get shoved in a robot. There was a period of time when his brother had to like develop the robot. So he was technically alive, but completely cut off.
Right.
Like
It's
no
just a
sense,
brain?
just a brain in like some sort of alchemical bath.
Do you
Yeah.
think he felt the bath, though?
No, your brain doesn't feel anything. That's how Hannibal was able to eat that guy's brain without him really noticing. There's no nerve endings in
but
the
you
brain.
think like whatever diodes and electrodes that are going into the brain to keep it alive, like they'd give him something.
Sure.
Like he'd have like a loose wire every once in a while to tingle.
but he didn't. That's the important thing. I
see.
And that's why his Warcaster ability has kind of fallen off.
just went down.
Yeah, because he was basically trapped in not like the void that Banes come from or the Scorn void, but he was trapped in his own personal void.
Right.
Like a
Like
sensory
a
deprivation.
coma?
Yeah, it was like a coma.
Yeah.
So that's why
Do you
he's not as
imagine he
powerful.
just had like the most IK like terrible pop song stuck in his head when he died?
Oh,
and he was
like an
just,
earworm, but
yeah,
no
it's
ears?
stuck there forever. Like I can't distract myself. This is all I got.
What does IK pop songs sound like?
I'm sure it's terrible. It's
It's
probably
probably
sung-
played on a hurdy-gurdy.
Probably, and there are gobbers involved. I'm sure.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, are there monkey grinders? Like organ grinders?
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
absolutely are.
Yeah.
Because like monkeys have come up from zoos, so you imagine that
Also-
as soon as a monkey shows up,
Oh, there's a
organ
grinder?
Yeah,
Like that's
that's the natural
That's the chicken
progression.
and the egg. It's
Yeah.
like we have this strange semi-intelligent creature. Make it dance.
So
if we
one-
can give it a gun, we can give it an organ.
Yeah, exactly. If it can shoot a pistol and reload a pistol,
Oh, yeah.
then it can definitely use like a grinder organ.
Yeah.
So interesting thing about organ grinders. This is real world history, but I want
Yeah,
to
no,
adapt it to the
dive
IK.
in.
Yeah.
There were like laws against nuisances, and organ grinders were typically considered to be nuisances.
Right.
But there was one exception to that law, which was like amputee veterans of war
We're allowed to be organ.
were allowed
grinders?
to be organ grinders because that was a way that they could actually earn money. So they were exempt from that nuisance law that prevented organ grinders from showing up in towns. So in Signar, you'll have like a bunch of one-legged trenchers that are just sitting there
cranking away.
sadly cranking their organ, hoping that
They
people
don't have
throw them some
monkeys
silver
though,
shields.
right? Like they're just playing the music.
They don't have monkeys.
Eventually they'll get monkeys.
Oh, eventually they'll get monkeys.
Eventually they'll get monkeys.
Because there's monkeys coming
You're
from.
supposed to scoot in.
All right.
Get a little closer.
I don't want to.
There we go.
I don't want to
It's
be that
fine.
close.
So what do you want to talk about today?
I actually wanted to talk about Monpoc, but I'm happy to keep talking about monkeys.
Oh, everyone's really interested in Monpog. It was huge for us at Gen Con. So what do you want to talk about Monpog?
So what we've been doing in kind of anticipation of the full release of Monpoc, because it was a pre-release at Gen Con, is we've been expanding the background and lore of the Monsterpocalypse world in kind of an epistolary format, so text that's sort of taken from in-world, but also a little bit more straightforward Wikipedia-style entries, because you have like this huge diversity of different machines and creatures and that kind of thing. So the Wikipedia format, I mean, it allows us to present knowledge as it would exist in the world. So like when it comes to the Lords of Thule, people don't really fully know or understand what they are or how they work.
Sure.
So there's a lot of, people assume when we're talking about Taskmasters or Squixes or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of entertaining because we've only had a little bit of information about Monsterpocalypse so far.
Sure.
Like there was the old, I think it was 4 or 5 issue comic back in the day.
There was a 4-issue because there was an issue 0.
Yeah.
And there was the comic series. And then we had the 1-page like faction explanations in the core rule book. And that was about it.
Yeah,
like, there wasn't a whole lot released publicly. I know that there was a lot of documentation done internally. There were like different kind of story ideas that were pitched around, and some like maybe it works this way. I mean, how the guard robots have functioned has gone anywhere from a sentient AI to a crew of people to one person.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of mutability, because as long as that stuff stays inside, you don't have to necessarily worry about continuity. You just be like, I think it's cool this way. I think it's cool this way. So it's been fun reading the stuff that you've been sending over too. Like I think that you talk about how it's supposed to feel very in-world, and I feel like as I read it, I'm like, oh, I could see this on like the History Channel or like some kind of prime time like 1-hour special. They're like explaining the Monsterpocalypse with Marty Stauffer.
Exactly.
And like he comes in and he starts doing his thing, right?
We haven't titled that series of articles that we're going to be putting out, but in my mind, it's like living with the Monsterpocalypse, and it's like a Time magazine expose that runs over several issues.
Do people go insane when they see the Lords of Thule?
So there are a couple of things about that. Like we know that Taskmasters are telekinetic and also telepathic because they have influence on the other Lords of Thule. So just yesterday, and this hasn't gone through Schick or Oz, like
we're going through Schick right now.
It's going through Schick right now. So people who are in areas where the Taskmasters show up, like they feel this painful mental static that grows in power as they get closer. And there have been surveillance videos of like flyover vehicles that show these kind of enthralled masses of civilians just walking completely complacent toward the Taskmasters. So they have some kind of mind-altering capability.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's straight up H.P. Lovecraft.
Like,
go look at this, go insane.
Okay.
It may be. We haven't really fleshed the Lords of Thule out completely yet. We've been worrying mostly about like Guard and Planet Eaters as the first releases so far. We have kind of a timeline that starts with the Harbinger comet. It used to be called Solov's Folly, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And it discusses how the comet, was coming near Earth, altered course, and then fragmented and started falling all around the planet, like in almost an intelligent way. Like it was targeting areas almost. And from that, that's where you start to see the alliances that form Guard.
Were the Planet Eaters the first monsters to show up?
Yeah, they were definitely the first monsters to show up, but that kicked off a series of events. Like we're trying to have as organic a progression as possible. So the Planet Eaters show up, and that causes the rise of Guard using like experimental technology and some of the things they learn from studying the Harbinger comet fragments and studying the bodies of the Planet Eaters. But shortly thereafter, you'll see elements of the Shadow Sun Syndicate start showing up. Like we talk about how there was going to be one more monster, but it was still in kind of a dormant state when Shinobi went down and killed it. So they actually got first blood against the Planet Eaters.
Nice.
But yeah, it's interesting trying to develop from sort of the ground up this world, because like we've talked about, we have things to go on. We have the internal knowledge, but we've never really put anything down in a very straightforward, consumable fashion before.
So I have a question about the world that you don't have to answer because you might not have considered it.
Sure.
Just for later on.
Sure.
I think everyone wants to know. Okay, this is Earth that this plays on, right? Do they play War Machine on the Monsterpocalypse Earth?
Well, absolutely.
Oh, they do? You know that?
It is our Earth.
It is our Earth.
It is. So the people who are playing Monsterpocalypse or pardon me, who are playing War Machine right now are probably some of those victims that have been dragged in by a taskmaster and turned into meat slaves or something.
So it's our Earth.
Sorry, guys.
But the Monpok
Yeah,
game never
I
existed.
apologize.
It just happened.
Exactly.
So I could be chilling at Gen Con, playing in a Masters.
And you get
like,
stepped on by Gorgadra.
and like a Taskmaster rolls in, and we all just like step up and walk away.
I mean, a Taskmaster is going to roll in. Those things are huge. They're the
Yeah.
size of like a 3-story house.
No, the canon is Brugrash shows up.
Yeah, I mean,
Brugrash
Brugrash
definitely shows up.
and he
So-
smashes you with a tentacle.
I mean,
While we
we
were
have a
at the
lot
rink.
of friends and players that live in the Chicago area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
gone.
Chicago is just gone. Chicago got hit by one of the Planet Eater fragments.
Well, it lands in Lake Superior, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, and this is actually the one of the through lines from the original storyline is that
Yeah.
Chicago is like ground zero. It's the
Basically,
place
that's-
where the Monsterpocalypse happens.
That's where Gorgadra emerges, right? And he's one of the first ones to come out of the fragments. And we didn't have Guard back then. We didn't have like the Liberty class robots to fight
I
against
mean,
him.
you didn't even have G tanks the size of a city block.
Exactly. We had nukes, and they didn't work. So, like, most of Chicago is this irradiated wasteland that is controlled by the Planet Eaters. It's written off. Like, refugees had to flood out into other areas. And that's actually one of Guard's first actions, is trying to protect those refugees in, like, Indiana, Indianapolis, as Gorgadra is just going on this biomass-consuming warpath.
Man, that means Adepticon got blown up.
I know. Well, I mean, Adeptic Schaumburg might be okay. It's on the bubble. We'll say that.
You think Schomburg's still there?
Schomburg
I think
might be
Schaumburg might be.
might be there.
Oh, man.
One of the things that I really liked too about that introduction to the Monsterpocalypse, you talked about the Liberty class
Yeah.
of the Guard robots, and Sky Sentinels 1.
Yes.
And then we took an oldie but a goldie and we put it into the Liberty Class 2.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how there's some nods to the past in terms of how the story plays out. I don't want to spoil anything.
No, of course not.
But it's really fun. It was super fun for me as somebody who played the game a lot, really loved it, was enmeshed in it 10 years ago, to kind of get to see this world develop and to see the story that is being told through these kind of retrospectives, and like I said, very time life. Like,
Yeah.
you just imagine them sitting down with the pilots of these robots and being like, "Tell us about this thing." And
Yeah, like the little
how does this thing
interview
move
blurbs.
forward? Yeah, and
Some dude's just sitting there like smoking a cigar, shaking. He's like, they were monsters.
so super cool on that front, and it just adds that extra cinematic flair, I think, to the whole experience.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it works appropriately because, Monsterpocalypse is a little bit in our future, right? Because we don't have energy weapons and,
Right.
and gravity tanks right now.
Sure.
So it's a little bit down the road. But it just feels more authentic to me to treat it like it's happening in world
Yeah.
than to write complete fiction about it, like narrative fiction about
Right.
it. Because you want people to feel like it's a part of the world that they are living in
Yeah.
too.
Well, and like
because
you said,
it is.
especially because of the near future of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at 5-6 years down the road, and that's really the idea. The whole concept is that it's happening now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, tons of fun there. And then, of course, the wiki entries have been really interesting. I can tell that you've done a lot of research into, like, future tech weaponry, because I get these words, and I'm like, haven't heard that one before, but I bet you it's legit. I know how Gets works.
I had to read up on bromomethane the other day. Bromomethane, lethal at 60,000 parts per million. It's used to put out fires.
There you go.
Go on.
Were you curious
Well,
about that?
so
For the viewers, you've never played Getz Fact or Lie. Getz Fact or Lie is a game we like to play because Getz has a repository of an insane amount of knowledge.
he's like a living Wikipedia.
He's like a living Wikipedia, and he will come up and just start talking to us about stuff. And for a long time, we played a game called Getz Fact or Lie. It was what he was telling us actually true, or was he making it up? It's an easy game to play because it's always a fact. No matter how obscure or insane it sounds, it's true.
So Frothy Cat in the Twitch stream is asking, the tidbits are cool, but where are they going to be able to get these? When are they going to get their hands on them?
well, I don't really know if I'm permitted to say.
I mean,
what
you're
the
permitted to do it.
platform
It's
is.
live. You can say anything.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Like you did in your game when you dropped an F-bomb. So
Exactly.
anything goes.
Yeah, anything
No,
goes when it's live.
These are going to be presented on the website. I think we're going to have like a dedicated article section that they're going to be going up in, but
Yeah, they'll
it's-
definitely be compiled on monsterpocalypse.com. I know
Yeah.
that for sure. They'll be showing up on, I think, the Privateer Press website as well
I
as
believe
special
so.
insiders and news articles. And then, like you said, I think the goal is to build kind of a repository wiki.
Yeah, something where people who 3-4 years down the road playing Monsterpocalypse can go and they can get this information. You guys just to get it as it's coming out. But it's really hoping to build kind of a knowledge base of the world, of the setting for everybody who plays the game.
And we're looking at like regular installments starting
Yeah.
right before or right during the launch.
I'd have to confirm with Lyle when the schedule for those going up is, but yeah, we have a huge
You have
backlog.
a pretty big repository right now, so I imagine that they're going to be coming fast and furious.
Yeah, I'm certainly hoping so.
Well, who have you had the most fun writing about so far?
Actually, Shadow Sun Syndicate.
Yeah, I mean ninjas are cool, right?
Well, but because the Shadow Sun Syndicate, like, they're the old James Clavell novels, like the Noble House, Taipan style books. I really wanted to make sure that the Shadow Sun Syndicate was rooted in history. It's not just arbitrary that they've got ninjas that are cyborg ninjas, right? Like, way back in the day, the families that would eventually form the Shadow Sun Syndicate were, like, proto-Yakuza-style crime families, like back in the Sengoku Jidai period of Japan, like the era of warring houses when people were fighting for control over the shogunate between like the Tomohiri and Nobunaga and all that, right? I wanted to set them all the way back then and sort of follow their progression from disparate criminal families that have forged an alliance into kind of a corporate family where they were still kind of fighting amongst themselves, but they collectively would work against anybody who had disparate interests. Like, for instance, the Ubercorp, right, would be somebody that they probably had
Issues with?
a contentious relationship with, yeah. And just seeing them kind of move from the old world, like 16th century Japanese crime families into this hyper-tech multinational corporation has been one of the more fun things in writing about them.
I don't know. I feel like because you've rooted them so well in history to give them a reason to be relying on like ninjas, you missed a golden opportunity for the bank loan scene where some dude just randomly rolls in. He's like, "Look, I want to start a company in Japan." And they're like, "Okay, what's your business plan?" He goes through all the numbers. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything makes sense. And they're like, well, "We'd like to approve you. We noticed that you want to make combat suits.
Yeah,
We're going to need you to change that to ninjas
sure.
yeah.
before we can sign off on this."
I imagine that bank probably was run by the Canon Film Group if it involves
Exactly.
ninjas.
That's what I'm saying.
Real fast though, before we let you go,
Yeah.
since you've been writing about the Shadow Sun a bunch,
Yeah.
you've probably been talking about the tech, right?
Yes, yes.
You may not have gotten this far again, but if you do, I just want to know if a full-grown Shadow Sun ninja is holding a car in his hand,
Right.
and he shrinks back down to normal size, does the car shrink with him, or does the car stay normal size?
I think the car stays normal
Well, I
size.
mean, the car has to stay normal size based on
Because it's a combination of biotechnology, engineering, and nanotechnology that allows the S-type shinobi and like Zors.
it literally
to-
goes into their bloodstream.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how it
It's
works.
just his body.
It's
Okay.
all
Yeah.
physiology.
Yeah, it's not like an energy field or anything. It's actually contained entirely within them.
So the worst thing they could do is in the middle of a fight, bite one of their opponents. Like, say they're fighting
Oh yeah,
Gorgadra,
you just have.
and they bite Gorgadra, and they miss. There's like a chunk of Gorgadra's like shoulder pad in their teeth,
Right.
and they shrink back down,
It would explode their head.
and their head just bursts like
Yeah,
a melon.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
You'll notice
Fortunately,
that-
they're wearing masks.
I was going to say they have masks, so they can't actually bite anything.
But you're in the middle of a fight. If you've watched pro wrestling, masks get torn, and that's when you
That's
start
true.
biting.
Sometimes.
That's true.
Yes.
But anyway, I've been having a lot of fun working with Schick and with Oz and with Wilson, coming up with a more detailed background for Monsterpocalypse. I'm really looking forward to people reading about it. I'm sorry if my knowledge of how plasma-based energy weapons could work is wrong. If there are any physicists out there, I apologize. I am just a man.
We apologize to all physicists that for many of our games.
For many of our games. Although, one thing, square cubed law means that, man, Gorgadra's bones have to be impossibly dense.
Sure.
Square cube law, like the bigger something is, it has a commensurate increase in its body weight. So just imagine the strains that are going in like Zor Maxim's legs or something.
Well, it's outer space physics. It's a different type of material maybe we don't know about yet.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and
they're
we discussed that.
They're probably just like projecting an anti-gravity field around themselves,
Around their-
a localized anti-gravity field to loosen up, lighten
loosen up a little bit, get a little
lighten up the
flexible.
thing, get a little
Yeah.
more flexible.
Maybe their blood's dark matter.
I
We
mean,
don't
how
know.
else is Zor Maxim going to be able to throw Gorgadra?
well, I mean, it's Kempo, man. He's using his body weight and his momentum
Seems
against him.
questionable.
Elements of Aikido. I imagine Zor Maxim knows a lot of different martial
It could be.
arts.
probably does.
It could be kayfabe.
It could be kayfabe.
It could be
I agree.
kayfabe.
Oh, really? The
I
whole
could just put
Monster
the show on for everybody.
It's a giant show for everybody. It's like I'm gonna body slam you real quick. He's like, okay. And he gives him a little jump and like,
Yeah.
super, you know.
Sure.
Do you think that Gorgadra does some cuts?
Oh,
like
yeah.
surreptitiously?
Yeah.
He's just,
Grabs little train tracks. He's like,
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
we're
Well,
gonna
with
wrap it
that,
up.
apparently, we're going to say goodbye, Gets. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and good luck with fatherhood.
Yeah, well,
Excited to hear how it goes
it's
for
coming
you.
here pretty quick.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Little babus
well, have
everywhere.
you been texting with Pagani just to get a little
No,
little
no,
401? No,
no.
You're just going
I imagine
blind?
he's not sleeping too much. So.
No,
He's
he's in
here
the
right
chat.
now.
What? Pagani? Oh man,
He's taking the 1950s dad approach.
nice.
oh, we did get the proper name of what the collective of babies is.
What?
It's a babble of babies.
A babble of
babble
babies.
of babies.
Yeah. All right, guys,
Well, there you
take
go.
it easy.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Take care. All right, and next up we have the one, the only, the glowing Dallas.
Play the drums.
Oh yeah, we haven't played the drums once this whole time.
Yeah, I
Look.
demand drums.
The drums got left at Gen Con. They're in the shipment.
Oh, yeah,
They'll
they're
come
great.
back later.
Okay,
They're
that's
great.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Hello, everybody.
How's it going, boy?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey,
You were front and center all Gen Con.
you were like
Gen Con was
doing
awesome.
the thing.
I was painting the whole time.
Yeah.
Painting
What were you painting?
Terracon.
You were painting.
Who?
Terracon.
Terracon.
He's
How it
super
works.
adorable.
He
Well,
I don't
I
know
don't-
about adorable.
Did you
That
see his
dude-
smile? He's like,
He does. So if you look at him straight on, he does have the most award-winning like puppy dog smile.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of those like Instagram pictures of people like, look at how happy this dog is. Even though that's just
mean,
how the mouth works.
it's not the smile and the cuteness of the original Chomper when we first got the Chomper.
That's
in.
true.
Because he was doing
yeah.
this.
It's not. He
He
was.
was doing little
like-
He was
kitten
doing
naps.
a little adorbs. It
Hello.
was something else.
He
It
was
something
adorable.
else.
We made him more mad.
We did.
Dallas, I've noticed, and I've been
Cranked
painting
him up.
I've been painting my Martians. I've seen the Terracon. All the models for Monsterpocalypse look like they're like really easy to paint.
Yeah, that's the goal.
And I was gonna say, was that something that was done like very intentionally? Because it's just a lot of stuff that seems like it's super easy to like base, do some shading, and then do a little bit of, like even like just dry brush highlighting real fast, and then like have a really good looking model.
Yeah, I mean, me and Ron had a conversation when we first started the project, right? It was like the models need to get bigger, right? We want to make big models, detail and like cool. But Ron and I had a conversation like, how do we keep making these like fun to paint, right? So that's been a very constant like thought process of like these big models that are just easy to paint. So you can take your time, you can do like really cool stuff, right?
Yep.
You can two brush blend, you can wet blend, you can glaze, you can do all these,
Oh my.
crazy
I
techniques.
like the voice that
Yeah, I know.
happens.
That voice drop was
Glaze.
definitely like, all of a sudden
Things
your
got-
bread and butter just
Bread
got
and
just got
butters.
slapped. They're like, get out of here. Get out of here.
Or you can
Fanciness.
base coat, wash, dry brush, and they all look good, right? That's the goal, right? Is to get the models on the table fast, and just for you to have fun painting.
Well, and the
them.
boldness of the detail really helps too. You talk about the monsters. You've got a big canvas to work with, and like you said, we minimized, and partially just because of the design, right? If you're
Right.
if you're a big scary creature, it's supposed to kind of harken back to the idea of a guy in a rubber suit
Yeah.
from the 1950s. You're not going to have a ton of like knickknacks. Like Gorgadra's not going to have a bandolier. Yeah, that'd be weird, but kind of cool.
There are no buckles on
If they were
Terracon.
if it was a burrito bandolier, that'd be even better. Like
just burritos.
yeah, just burrito
of just
That'd be
little
sweet.
of little train cars.
Sure,
full,
yeah,
full
yeah.
of people.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a gotcha burrito.
or
Yeah,
as long as
yeah.
they're wrapped in foil.
Sure, yeah, they're wrapped in like power lines
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
That would be a
Just eat 'em.
gordita.
Ooh,
Gross.
gordita.
That's not the response. Gross.
Gross. I don't know.
You also you painted some other stuff too there, right? So we had
We had a Vanguard.
a Vanguard, yep,
Mm-hmm.
the new Vanguard, which just is getting solicited soon. Nobody,
Wink,
I don't think
wink.
anybody knew about that, but
That actually went out about an hour ago.
did it go? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
good. So,
So that
you didn't
means-
spoil it. You just confirmed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had
new
Ares
Vanguard.
Mothership there, which
You had
We had
Ares
Ares
Mothership.
Mothership, and we had the 6 buildings.
Yep.
The 6 buildings are coming
you
for
did,
Monster.
You did some quick paint on your buildings, and we brought them and put them in the case, and they look super
Ron
dope.
Cruzy helped. I'll give Ron some
Oh, Ron
some
helped.
cred.
I mean, Ron painted some gloriously pink and gold
those
Planet
were
Eaters.
God,
Like,
his Planet
beautiful
Eaters
they
look
were
amazing.
they were
They got little
amazing.
pink bottoms.
They did.
This is so
yeah.
adorable.
They're little like speckles,
You just
It's
look at Ron, and you like know the history of Ron. You like know Ron a little bit
Yep.
personally.
Yep.
He's like, and then he brings in pink Gorgadra.
Yeah, he's like, look at
He's
these.
Like, what?
It was like the softer side of Ron.
Those
Yeah.
ended up in an interview Oz did with Bella Lost Souls.
Yep.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I used them with an interview I did on Twitch as well, like at Gen Con.
Because why wouldn't you? They're little pink Gorgadras.
Yeah, and when we did our game
Filters
stream
and-
with Gen Con, they got those things went everywhere, and everybody was like, they're so adorable.
Yeah, they're super cute.
They are.
I have a question because I just thought about the basing you do on your models look so good, and it came up a lot at Gen Con. The events area was about basing the miniatures and stuff like that. Do you have any basing tutorials in the works that you're thinking about doing? Okay, cool. Because people are just kind of curious about what's the right way to base those clear plastic bases.
Yep, I would, if I was a gambling man, which I'm not, I would bet that the next several Get Your Paint Ons and P3 Presents were pretty Monsterpocalypse focused.
Cool.
And like the basing, like mine's full basing. Mine goes like the basing material goes edge to edge of the base, right? But I want to show people like maybe don't do it edge to edge, right? Like you can just do like 3/4 of the base, and you can leave a little bit of the base clear, and have like this cool dynamic shift, so you can still see the power nodes underneath, but you still get this cool decorative elements to it, right?
Yeah.
Or you leave them clear. Also, if I was a betting man, like I know we got a lot of people were doing demos, as you said.
Yeah.
You, Danny, Oz, Jason Souls were all just rocking the demos and drawing people over, but we got a lot of people who weren't necessarily hobbyists.
Yep.
Right? So in a couple hours, you might be seeing P3 Presents live on how to clean and assemble your Monsterpocalypse models.
There's no might be. 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Boom, it's gonna happen.
There we go.
Sweet.
And we're going to talk about like, like taking considerations to painting or gluing your models to clear bases, some tips and tricks to prevent fogging, and how to clean your resin and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll be doing that here in a couple.
Good core fundamental stuff.
Yeah,
You'll be doing it like
which we have videos on
like
already,
2.5 hours,
but like
3.5
going
hours.
back to those fundamentals, that's what makes them fundamentals. We go back to the fundamentals a couple times, just to reiterate and like just to give everybody refreshers and like so you don't have to dig, you can just find.
Well, and I mean, there aren't a lot of clear plastic, acrylic bases out on the market right now that you're gluing guys to, right?
No.
So that alone is a pretty useful skill. Dealing with resin, and how to clean it properly and be safe and all that good stuff. Like those are good refreshers.
Yeah, good information to just always be reminded.
And honestly, like you've been doing this for ever.
Literally ever.
And
the
yet
beginning
I
of
still come down
time,
and every once in a while I'm like,
there
I
was
see
a
you-
hobby
hundreds
knife.
of years.
I see you with like some new tool or something that you fashioned, and I look at it and I'm like, what is that? And you're like, oh, it's for this. And I was like, I thought you did it this way. And you're like, no, there's a better way to do
There's
it
a
now.
new ways, yeah.
Like technology always progresses effectively.
I mean, we had of course, our production team, super brilliant, super clever guys. Brian back there came up to me yesterday, and he's like, have you thought about showing off some of the cool tools we make? And I was like, oh, you mean like the sculpting tool I make? I've shown that off a couple times. He's like, so like, there's always like these little things that you can do to your tools to make them a different tool, right?
So we also
different
had
uses.
fun at Gen Con doing the P3 Grandmaster. I was your cameraman for that. That was very enjoyable.
How were the entries this year?
Awesome. It was super awesome. I was super excited. The bus category was full. Like it was, we had a
There were
ton
a lot
bus
of
entries.
great entries in that product.
And I think that there's a good reason for that, right? It's like a bust gives a painter this opportunity to kind of, like, especially if you're just a tabletop painter or you're just painting for your army. So you're always worried about for your army. But a bust removes that from you. And you can just paint it for fun. You can express new ideas, or you can try new stuff without the fear of it not looking like part of your army anymore.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to explore and try new techniques, or just to relax and just have fun. So I think we saw a lot of
There's a lot of experimentation there. Like there was a scar that was basically done in watercolor.
watercolors, right? That was
which
Mark Maxey.
which was
They're
really cool.
cool
and
job.
Very different, very striking. Just when you saw it, you were like, "This is
especially
not what I
next to everything
expect,"
else, because
Yeah.
everything else had a very cartoony, poppy, vivid
You had-
approach,
yeah,
and then
you
there
had
was a
very-
soft scar.
Yeah, and then there was the non-metallic metal red one that I think won. Is that the one that won
Sorsha,
the
yeah, that was
category? The Sorsha?
Benjamin Cantor.
Yeah, and that one, I mean, that one was just, it was stark, it like really hard poppy lines, and it almost looked like it was glowing like molten metal
It
in
was
some ways.
crazy.
It was
Like,
crazy.
Which there will be pictures soon. We're working
Yep.
on this.
So yeah, like you said, it
They're
kind of
coming.
ran.
I was like, that's the
ran
big
gamut.
thing, right?
They're
Where the photos will be out there.
You get some of that, and that hyper realistic. Like I think there was a Borka bust in there that had this hyper realistic kind of, you could see all of like
Yep.
the lines almost from the paint strokes, but
Yep.
it like all came together from a distance to just look really sharp.
Yeah,
and-
so many different techniques being expressed on those busts. It was really neat to see. And then like people that have I've met over the years, and like Jason Coates, just brought a Sorcerer Bust, and like it was an improvement over other projects I've seen, right? And it's just like just seeing those people keep pushing and improving has just been an amazing experience, and like seeing them at the P3 Grandmaster and witnessing those models in my hand and like being like, dude, you're pushing yourself, like you're doing a very good job.
There were two models that caught my eye because I wasn't at the booth a lot. I'm just curious if they won anything. One was the Dracodile on his diorama, which I saw that big Dracodile with like the tree
with the tree and the water and stuff like that.
And then the other one was the Heretic standing in the field of like bent out minifixes that were like it looked like they were blossoming away from him.
Yeah, I really like that. I like the story behind that piece. I thought that he was really telling a good story in a very minimal amount of space and elements. Weirdly, like he was telling a story, but there was not a lot of elements on the base. That was Stephen Boatwright, and he did win Best Single.
Cool.
And then our Grandmaster, our actual Grandmaster, was Richard Curtis, and he had the white Victor.
Yeah, that Victor was legit. Like the battle damage, the weathering, the base overall, like that. It was an impressive piece.
It was just all over, like just a very good grasp and understanding on weathering and shading, like big models. Like he very clever use of, and it was treated. The big thing is he treated everything equitably, right? So when he turned the model around on the back and the underside, that metal on the underside was painted to the same level and attention to detail as the face, right? As the front, right? So he went all over that thing and just completely painted it, and it just made a very stark, striking, just beautiful piece that was in that case.
And yet, despite how amazing that piece was, I think my favorite part of the whole thing was that he earns his trophy, he gets his medal, everyone claps there, everyone's because we had a big ceremony, and then the first words out of his mouth are "critique me."
Yeah, just
he walks up, he like kind of sets the trophy and is like, "What did I do wrong?" He literally just handed it to you. It was like, "Tell me what I did wrong. I don't care that I won."
Nope.
Tell me how to improve, right?
That's not what it's about. It's not about winning a medal.
And it's so much fun for me to kind of listen to you and Ron do your critiques, and you finish your critique and Ron's me like, can I abuse you now?
Yeah.
Can I get in? Can I get in on this? And like just jumps right in. And it's so cool because like you said, you see people come back year after year, and the people who like the way to improve in art, right, is to get that feedback, to get that critique, to think about things differently, and to learn from the collective. So were there any like fun moments?
And that was a fun thing about Richard is like he actually entered a Colossal last year, and he I believe got a silver, and he got his critique, and then this year he comes back, and he just
wins the whole thing.
And just wins the whole.
Did the critique from last year? Did you see it in practice in the new one? Like he actually took those lessons and applied them.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's heard my story and my path and progression, and like, and so I think Richard is kind of reflecting that as like this. It was never about the trophy. It was never about the medal. It was never about the prize. It was always about getting that critique and showing that he can push himself. So, and he's really expressing that. So I was very impressed with that. So
Cool.
But there's other people like even folks who hadn't won, right, or didn't win this year. Where last year it was all about the critique, and this year they come back and like you still see that progression. You see those lessons being learned. You see that desire to take the serious direction, and run with it.
Well, one of the really cool things that I like about how you've structured the Grandmaster painting competition is that there's not first, second, third, and then a winner.
No.
The way that for people who don't know, the way
Everybody's
that the whole thing
in
is.
My heart.
So I mean, effectively in a way, because you just judge based on the quality of the entry. So you can have 4 or 5 gold winners. You can have no gold winners. You can have everybody wins a bronze because that's just the level of quality. So I think it's really cool in the fact that you're not necessarily having to compete with anybody but yourself. You know. And if you can turn in a great work that's gold worthy, you're going to get a gold.
It's almost like a Caddyshack quote. Well, how do you measure yourself against other men?
Exactly.
By height.
So
you measure yourself like I always preach. I don't like use the word, but I always preach like you should never compare yourself to other people's work. Right? You only compare yourself to your last piece.
Yep.
Right? When you're talking about art, miniatures especially, like you only compare yourself to your last piece. You don't compare yourself because we're all on the same path.
Right.
We're just at different points, but our goal is to all walk together.
Well, I think on that bright and shiny note, we have to say goodbye to you.
Can we get a sunshine
we have to
behind
say
us?
goodbye to you.
Can we get a sunset?
Just a little.
No.
No.
This is
Can we star wipe?
This is
All
the
right.
Can I
So
get a star
the
wipe?
next opportunity for people to enter in a painting competition that you will be judging will likely be War Machine Weekend.
Yeah, I'll be co-judging,
Co-judging?
special guest
judging?
with whoever's at. If I'm at War Machine Weekend,
Oh,
I see his legs.
He's right there.
Aw,
He's
sweet.
I see
hanging
him.
out.
I recognize them
He's hanging out.
shoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is the next. So if you're thinking about jumping in on a painting competition, there are many of them.
Yep.
War Machine Weekend will be the next one that will have Dallas probably reviewing and helping guest judge for the guys there. It's
Get
not a
that critique.
grandmaster, but
It's not grandmaster.
it is a great opportunity to show off your stuff, show your skills, get some critique back, and just improve.
No such thing as a bad competition,
No,
right? Like they're all going to be
absolutely.
good, right? Unless it's like one dude in his basement that has no idea what miniatures are, that might be bad. Otherwise, like if
That'd
they've
be-
got any
that'd be
sort of like,
awkward.
yeah, if they've got anybody,
If
with
I'm
any kind of
getting
skill.
invited to that and I get sent to that, I'm gonna be really upset.
JR,
Like,
JR,
do
come on,
this.
we need to talk to you
All right.
about something real fast regarding Dallas's schedule. Well, cool.
All right.
Oh, there it goes. He's giving us the get out of the seat. Okay, bye.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much,
guys.
Dallas.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. What are we
All right.
grilling next?
Next, what are we grilling, or who are we grilling?
Dallas-
Because
Dallas,
what we're
what are-
grilling is a little different.
Dallas, what are we grilling next?
Is it weird I recognize the shoes from under a table?
I know. You got this.
I know those shoes.
All right. And here we are with the man, the myth, the legend, convention manager, J.R. Godwin.
Hey, JR.
Which legend?
The legend of Gen Con.
The Legend of Godwin.
Swampy Pete.
Swampy Pete is
Yeah.
sitting to your left.
That's true.
I'm surprised you're still standing.
I'm sitting.
I meant, I'm surprised you're
I'm
still
literally
conscious.
sitting
I'm
right
surprised
now.
you're still conscious. So those of you who don't know, JR is the one that runs like all the convention stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Gen Con happens for us because of JR. And if you've been to Gen Con, you know it's a very busy, very packed show. And attending it can be kind of exhausting. Working it is a completely different animal. And at the top of the working it pyramid, dealing with everyone's problems and trying to put out all of the fires is that guy. So the fact that you are awake right now and not in a like week-long coma is shocking.
That
to me.
happens next week. He's actually finally going to take some time off. You're taking 2 weeks off.
I
I'm
was-
so proud of you right now. Like,
I was flat out strong-armed into doing it.
yeah, yeah. We forced him on sabbatical, effectively.
How was your Gen Con?
Gen Con was great. We do a ton of prep going in, just making sure that everything is 100% ready to go. A lot of people here definitely are a big part of it. Yes, it is my responsibility to make sure everything goes off, but it is very much a team thing. From people helping out getting stuff built. Schick, you yourself were with me out in the warehouse
Woo!
in
We did pre-build.
96-degree
We
heat
do pre-build the things beforehand.
every single
That's
time.
That's Seattle heat wave.
the burden of knowledge.
Yep.
We build it, make
I
sure
don't know how
everything
to
works.
put this thing together. Okay, let's see if we can figure it out because I did it once like 10 years ago.
Well, and this year we actually did a completely new
We did.
kind of build to the booth. We actually changed the structure that it was, and then actually changed the shape of the entire booth. From working with Travis Mark
Yep.
on events, working with
He did
Will
just
Hungerford.
say you're his favorite boss. Mentioned that up in the stream. I saw it.
Thank you, sir. Working with Travis to make sure that events, having everything prepped and ready to go. We ran Masters, we ran Champions. We had the first ever Monpoc tournament.
Yep.
It was awesome, and it was really cool to see. It was, I think, 4 different fully painted armies. So they bought it on Thursday or Friday, painted everything, and then were playing in a tournament on Saturday.
Yeah, people are crazy, but they do cool stuff, so it's okay.
So, some of your
awesome.
favorite memories from Gen Con this year? What were some of the things that stand out to you?
that you can talk about on the
True.
stream. Sorry,
Extreme appropriate.
favorite memories during work hours.
I loved seeing. We actually had a number of younger crowd come through and watching. I think it was Lyle was doing a Monpoc demo, and
Oh
he
yeah,
got
for the
a
group of
hug.
like 4 kids.
He
I
had
remember that.
they were like 4 or 5 years old, and at the end of it, one of them gave Lyle a hug because he was so happy that he got to go through this thing.
That story goes as follows, real fast. So Lyle's demoing, and there's a kid right next to him, and about like 2 minutes in, the kid is just doing this, just kind of holding on to him, and then the mom's like, hands, and Lyle's like, it's okay, it's not a problem.
Right.
Halfway through, the kid puts his arm around Lyle's arm and is just kind of
No, I
holding
want
on
to
to
see
him.
this. Arm around arm.
It's kind
Yeah,
of
there we
like
go.
this, just holding on to him, and at the end, just full on arms around the neck, just
Arm
like hug.
There you
And
go.
I was like, that's about the sweetest, most adorable thing that can happen at a Monpoc tournament
Exactly.
or event
Like,
demo.
that will stick out. Watching somebody so happy to get a demo from Lyle that they actually hugged him.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I really had fun with was the Ram tapping party. We do that every year.
Yep,
we
Wednesday
do
night.
partnership with the Ram, which is where Brew Grosh came from. He was our exclusive Ram partnership model / beer / art print.
Can you confirm or deny that the Brew Grosh model is actually sitting on top of the Ram?
Yeah.
Like that, the building he's crushing is the Ram from Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Okay, some people noticed that online the other day, and they're like, "Wait, is that the actual Ram?"
It is very much the Ram.
The water tower that
you
he's
want it
drinking
to
out
be.
of.
If you want it to be, okay.
Right. The water tower he's drinking out of is a
Look,
very.
we didn't pull up the
very
we didn't
recognizable shape.
pull up the official city blueprints,
Obviously,
but yeah, it's
It's an artist's rendition.
It's definitely
of
a rendition.
The Indianapolis Ram.
It's an homage
yeah.
to our favorite restaurant.
Well, I'm gonna say, so we made Brew Grosh, and they made the City Smasher Stout, which was fantastic.
Yep.
That was a delicious beer.
Yeah, and so every Wednesday before the show starts, they tap the keg for the Gen Con beer. We go as a crew, we have fun, we
Get a chance to talk to people. It's-
shout at people, talk to people.
You
It's a lot of
shouted at
fun.
people. The rest of us talked
I
to
did.
people.
That's because that bullhorn wasn't going to work. So instead, I just used my natural bullhorn.
I like that you held the bullhorn and then
I didn't hold
still
the bull-
yelled
I didn't
at
touch.
people.
I didn't touch the bullhorn.
I saw
He
you.
tried to
No,
hand me the bullhorn. And I was
Oh,
like, no,
I must have been the other. I was
I
on
don't
the other
need
half
that.
of the restaurant whenever you were talking. I missed
I was
that.
like, I don't need that bullhorn. I just started yelling.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just a great opportunity to kind of talk to people about what they can expect. It's the Wednesday before, so everybody's super excited to come running in on Thursday and get in line to see what cool brand new stuff. This year picking up their Brew Grosh is picking up the Monpoc starters and the units. Snagging the Crucible Guard stuff. We had a few more items that were not at Lock and Load.
Yeah.
So kind of an opportunity for people to pick that up if they weren't able to come out and see us in the Pacific Northwest.
Speaking of shows that just happened and that did happen and that are coming, War Machine Weekend's the next really big one for us, right?
War Machine Weekend did not just happen.
It's about
It's
to happen.
coming.
It's coming.
Rapidly.
What, like 2 months?
First weekend in November.
Okay.
So like two and a
Two and
half,
a
somewhere
half.
around there.
Is there anything that you want to talk about it yet, or is it a little too early to say anything really super cool?
Well, I know that we've got a number of things that we are planning for it. I actually was just emailing with Carl Morgan, the guy who runs the whole thing, puts on an amazing show. Carl is a phenomenal dude.
Yep. Giant RoboCop fan too.
Giant RoboCop. And Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
Weird obsession with
Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage
Cage.
and RoboCop.
So Nick Cage as RoboCop would
But,
be
oh,
like that.
he would
be
explode.
That would be
His-
the peanut butter chocolate.
Like, oh,
No, we don't need that. And the original
eyes would roll back
RoboCop,
in
not
his
the
head.
remake. The original.
there is no remake.
Okay.
So we were talking about it, and so he's working on the shirt. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm going to let Carl talk about that. And then there is a VIP shirt that he is doing that we got to do some fun new things for.
Well, the shirt's traditionally been one of the icons from the stat cards. It's always been like stealth or tough, or back in the day, abomination and terror and things
This
like
will
that.
be different.
Ooh.
Well, so the standard shirt will be an icon.
Okay.
We are keeping in line with that. I'm not going to say what icon yet, but the VIP shirt will not be.
I want to go to War Machine Weekend.
No.
I want to go.
Oh, what if the icon is, how we added the base size number? Oh, the 30, 40,
It's
50,
just-
120? It's just a circle that just says 120 in it. You're a huge base.
It's not.
Oh. Is that a bad one we don't want to do?
I mean, we could. Carl requests it, so whatever Carl comes up with and is like, hey, can I get this? We do have the ability to go, no.
Which
no.
ones haven't we
I don't think
done?
we've ever said no. Though.
Well, no. Carl's amazing. We love working with Carl. So if Carl says something, we're like, yeah, let's do that. That's
I
a
mean,
great
there's
idea.
probably a number.
But we've done so many of them. I mean, yeah, if we start getting like damage immunities and like damage type electrical and stuff, but like I think we've hit all the big ones, right? Have we done flight
I'm
yet?
sure there's a couple left.
I have no idea.
Hey, Twitch chat, has there been a flight War Machine Weekend shirt? I just want to know for my own edification.
So any other shows, things that people should know about coming up, exciting stuff? I mean,
so-
I know you've been getting support requests from a number of different shows that happen in the
Ton
interim.
of them.
We
So-
always like to try to support everybody who runs events for us.
If your local game stores in the Midwest, you should push them into going to the Alliance show coming up. That's actually you and me.
Yep. We'll
First
be going
first
to
week in
Fort
September.
Wayne.
Fort
Fort
Wayne,
Wayne,
Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yep.
We'll be out there.
there's a distributor show that I don't have to go to.
Correct.
It's,
Interesting. I don't even know
yeah.
what I'm going to do with
We'll
myself.
go back to the
Yep.
Midwest. We'll be out there talking to people, talking on Mompoc, kind of walking retailers through.
You'll go to Shigs and Pit and get some of the best barbecue in the country.
In
Apparently.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
It's
believe it. I
surprisingly,
believe
yeah,
it.
like one of the top 5.
I'm gonna say it's surprising because you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
You are
and it's
correct.
food.
But it's delicious.
Fair enough. And then beyond that, there are a couple of shows here and there. Nothing that I'm able to drop just yet. And then we actually get to take a break. It's when I actually clean and organize the warehouse, get everything prepped and ready to go again.
Yep.
And then at the very start of February, we'll be back at LVO.
Yep.
And then about a month after that is Gamma, and then right after that is
Adepticon.
Adepticon.
Whoop, whoop.
Just keeps rolling.
So-
Never
There is-
stops.
Yeah, there never is really a break. Like you said, your words were, "I'm going to take a break and then go clean and organize everything."
Yeah.
That's not what a
I
break
mean,
means.
he doesn't have to
No,
leave.
the break is I don't
he's not
have to pack
traveling.
everything. I'll have
So-
everything in house,
You just said
so
you're-
I can actually organize it with everything here.
You're forcing him to take a 2-week vacation, right? That's what happened to you.
Yeah, I got strong-armed into it, yeah.
Change his password so he can't get in the building. Like change his key so it doesn't work.
I've done it before to people.
I know you have. You've locked
He's
me out
done
of my
it to
email
me.
before.
I have done it before when people refuse to take their time off.
You changed my email password on me so that I couldn't get my email one time, so I would take my vacation.
Yeah.
Chick
I'll
is a
do it.
benevolent tyrant.
I am a horrible person, apparently.
No, not really.
I don't think that's how that works.
So, well, I think we're actually towards the end here of Primecast, but we probably want to cover a few things for people that just joined in late and missed.
Yep.
For example, one of the things we talked about at the very beginning of the show was the new mini crate, which is a huge, huge deal, and I want to bring that back up one more time with everybody. If you don't know what mini crate is, it's our monthly subscription service. We have a new line that we introduced. JR, you can stay for this if you want.
He's leaving.
Yeah, just come on in here.
You got to
Just
stay
come hang
there.
out with us.
Now,
We are wrapping up. You know
You
what?
stay.
You stay for the wrap up, bruh.
Stay for the wrap up.
You don't leave until I tell you.
Oh,
Well,
he's
that,
gotta
that's
give you
the
hand
case. I'm
signal.
out.
You stay here. We're going to talk
Hand
about cool
signal.
things. So mini-crate.com, you can go check out the current Angel of Retribution,
Yep.
Angel of Vengeance model. Sign up, pick her up. But the new line is the Legend of the Five Rings line. Just announced at Gen Con, which is what this episode of Primecast has been all about. Go check it out, mini-crate.com/L5R, and sign up to start the Legend of the Five Rings mini crate, because I think it's just going to be so
Yep.
awesome.
So right now it's just an email capture, but if you sign up for the email, I believe we're still doing the 10% off coupon.
Yep.
So you can get 10% off your first L5R mini crate offering. And then, of course, you'll get notified right when they're going to go on sale, so you can be right at the front end. The other exciting thing with Mini Crate is that after the Angel of Retribution, we're going to be jumping into a new 6-month cycle, and that
Means a
means
new
the
VIP
new VIP model. And the new VIP model for the next cycle is been unanimously declared in the office as one of the best models we've ever made.
Do you want to say anything about it? Do you want to say what faction it belongs to?
She belongs to like everybody
Okay.
because you just have to get a subscription.
One
Um,
one all echoey.
All right,
Yeah, there we
and
go.
we're back. Sweet.
Apparently, we had technical difficulties
know.
there for a second.
Yeah, so I'm not going to spoil the surprise because
Okay.
it's going to be a big one, but I think people are going to be super jazzed.
With the L5R, I did hear a number of people at Gen Con say they're going to get 2.
Yeah.
So that way they can paint one realistic.
And have
so
one
it looks
for a
great,
token.
And then have one that they can paint just the color of their clan. So that way.
And we did
it's
actually
it's
show,
a great token that way.
if you go to the website, you'll see that too. We actually had one painted green and one painted in a more natural miniature style. So definitely a lot of cool stuff there. And then what else do we have? We got Mini Crate. We got more stuff coming next month, man.
August
like
19th.
so much stuff.
August 19th is the last chance to get the Heiress. So
Yep.
you've got literally
Yep.
9 days left.
Yep.
And then, if you're watching this, join us every week. If you haven't normally caught the show, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, we stream always at 10 a.m. Pacific. The Friday show, Primecast, is a unique show. We only do one a month. But Tuesdays is Weekly Rumble. You've been on that a ton
Yeah,
lately.
and our next Weekly Rumble is going to actually be Dallas versus Oz in a 2-monster game of Monsterpocalypse.
That sounds amazing.
Defenders, Protectors, Destroyers, full action. They're going to have buildings and everything.
Cool. I need to get more of my Martians so I can start playing on the Weekly Rumble again.
Speaking of which, that's kind of the big thing next month is Monsterpocalypse
Exactly.
releases.
And Monsterpocalypse comes out next month, which is going to be huge and exciting. It'll be the third week in September is when it'll launch.
Yep.
So if you didn't pick it up at Gen Con, start talking to your retailers. We've got some amazing OP events. They're going to launch right alongside it. Isle of Annihilation is the one that I strongly urge everyone who wants to play Monsterpocalypse, tell your retailer, run Isle of Annihilation. It
the
gets
only-
you a brand new map.
It's the only way to get that map.
It's a casual format, so you're just going to get to come in, play games on the new Isle of Annihilation map. You can throw monsters into volcanoes. Who doesn't want to do that?
Yep.
Come on. So very exciting there.
Yep. And then, so watch us Tuesdays play. We've played on the Isle of Annihilation map before on Weekly Rumble.
Yeah, you
Then Wednesdays is Dev Hangout at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's where it's usually a combination of myself, Oz, and Pagani. However, I'm gone next week, and Pagani's got a Babu, and he's out for several weeks.
Yep.
So I don't know who Oz is here
It's
with.
going to be a mystery, but it's going to be fun.
It's actually Pagani's baby. We're gonna bring Pagani's baby,
We're
and
gonna
it's
put
gonna
Asher?
be Oz and Asher doing. the
Asher's
dev
just
talk.
going to sit on the table and just be a baby.
That'll be great.
And then Thursdays is Get Your Paint On with Dallas Kemp, where Dallas teaches you all kinds of hobby tips and tricks. So anything else we need to cover before we get out of here?
1 p.m. today, again,
Yep.
we're going to be doing FP3 Presents Live. Dallas Kemp is going to show you how to clean and assemble your Monsterpocalypse figures.
Woohoo! So get ready for Monsterpocalypse next month. Check out all of the Exemplar releases and the Crucible Guard releases from this month. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Woohoo!
See, we needed you here, JR.
much is happening.
We needed you as like moral support for
You
the
were the
outro.
anchor. See, you were the anchor.
You're
Yeah,
anchored.
you
Right,
were the
that's because
anchor.
I'm at the end of the table.
Yeah, you're at
So I
the-
kept
you're
the
the
two of you
anchor.
from just
Correct.
launching off that way.